always some version of looking at, well, this is what really happened, and this is what the model thought would happen, and then we compare them. And obviously, when they match, we say that's a quote unquote good model. And when they don't match, we say it's a model that is underperforming, that needs more work. And so when we look at that plot on the right side of the screen, one of the important patterns that you see there that indicates the quality of the model is the fact that all of those dots, and those are wallets essentially. Each of those dots represents a wallet on BSC. When they fall in a line that goes from the bottom left of the chart and nice and neat and tight to the top right of the chart, what that means is more often than not, our predictions are matching the actual results on the blockchain. And that's a very powerful indicator of a model that's performing quite well. So the fact that we see those dots nice and tightly wrapped around sort of an imaginary line that would go from the bottom left to the top right is a really strong indicator of the quality of this model. The other thing that we're showing on this slide is on the bottom left, it's a feature correlation matrix. And this is essentially like a basic exploratory data analysis tool that allows our researchers to get a very quick understanding of how each of these features, and features means like a variable, something that is describing information in the data set, how they relate to one another. So it's probably going to be a little too small to read, and we're going to be publishing more information about this to Medium soon, so you guys will be able to take a closer look. But you can see in that chart there's some areas where there are some like darker red sort of squares. Those are the ones that we're seeing some kind of pattern or relationship with. So for example, we're seeing a pretty strong relationship between how active a wallet is. So things like the number of transactions that it's executed and its average holding time. We're also seeing some relationships between the other projects that a given wallet is holding and how long they will hold, a new project. So we're just sort of getting started with this. But for me, what I'm most excited to say is, even though we're really sort of just getting started in the actual model fitting process in that stage of the research, the results we're seeing are already really, really promising. So I know I've thrown a ton of information out there. I want to pause and see if there's any questions that have come in.
Nothing new in the AMA. I'm curious what the model looks at as a long-term holder. Like what's the time frame in your mind? Models.
So I believe what we did is we cut it at the top 10 percentile. So if there's 100 wallets, in the universe, we said let's take the top 10 and we'll call those the long-term hodlers. In this case, I believe that cutoff for BSC was about 290 days for your average holding time. So we, in this case, said that a hodler is anyone that's holding their tokens on average for at least 295 days. But that will change, right? So certain platforms may say, no, I want the top 1 percentile. Other platforms may say that, well, actually, we care also about the low end of the range too. Can you predict those? So we have the ability to kind of flex this a little bit and meet individual project needs. But in this case, we went with a fairly straightforward definition of what a long-term hodler is and said it's the top 10 percentile of wallets on BSC with respect to how long they hold their tokens, which turned out to be something in the neighborhood of about 290 days. Good question, though, Eric. Anyone else?
Thanks. Nothing new's rolled in here, so I'd say keep going.
Okay, great. All right, so this is our big sell. We got through that whole part of the presentation. There's a lot of interest and excitement, and this was our chance to say this is how Bird is different, which I think was really important for the audience to hear. So first of all, we're one of the only projects out there that has a legitimate path forward in terms of revenue generation on both the Web 2 and the Web 3 side of the house. So we spend a lot of time talking about empowering Web 3 developers through our Oracle, but there's a whole world out there in traditional tech that eventually is going to start waking up and saying, hey, there's something to this Web3 thing. We should get involved. And when these big companies start moving in, they're going to want to use their sort of current operating philosophies in Web3 too, which means they're going to be very data-driven. Their marketing efforts are going to be very sort of KPI-centric. They're going to want intelligence on the market they're going into. That's where Bird steps in. We can essentially provide individual wallet level intelligence to any Web2 companies that are looking to get into the space. So we see a lot of possibility on both the Web2 and the Web3 side of things for our future and revenue generation. As all you guys know, we are not a fork. We have very few, if any, direct competitors. And I think that's a testament to our vision. Crypto itself, blockchain itself is very forward thinking, right? Like we're building for the future, but I think Bird is taking that to a whole new level. Not only are we building products for the future, but we're building products that are really for the next phase of Web3's maturity life cycle. I oversimplify it when I say it, but I see Web3 as falling in sort of three different phases. So right now we're in a stability phase. Engineers, their goal is pretty simple. Build stuff that works, doesn't break, can't be hacked, right? Next phase is going to be more about optimization. How can we tweak these platforms? How can we make them more efficient, run them faster, allow more users concurrently, etc.? And then the final phase is monetization. What we're building is really for the optimization and monetization stages. So we're very ahead of our time in thinking about how Web3 is going to evolve. And I think that's one of the reasons why we don't have a lot of competition out there yet. We will, but fortunately, when that time happens, Bird's going to be a couple of years ahead of the race. So, as we've seen in this presentation, we're already building for a bunch of the hottest sectors in crypto. So we are going to be able to be very adaptive and dynamic in our future. As one sector gets hot or cools off, Bird's got a footprint in all of the other sectors. So it will make us a lot more robust to market shocks and unexpected changes in trends and all that stuff. And I think this sets us up for success quite well because obviously crypto is a very volatile industry. The broader our base of customers and revenue and product development, the more resilient we can be going forward. I think you guys have heard this a lot. We are guided by very futuristic technical principles. That's why we are exploring areas of research like federated learning and zero knowledge proofs. We very soon will be hopefully announcing an exciting partnership with a team that will help us with compute to data modeling methodologies, which can potentially enable more decentralization in Bird's ecosystem. The tools we're building are really the tools that we expect to be commonplace many years down the line, but we're building with them today so that what we build, can stand the test of time. I hope no one on this call needs to hear this, but, I believe that we have one of the best demonstrated track records of any of the projects that were in the incubator program. We've got four dApps that are live. We've been building for a very long time. We've got very healthy secondary markets. We have, I think, a lot more traction than anyone else in the program did at this time. And then, of course, our wonderful, highly credentialed and experienced team that I'm fortunate to have around me, because without them, none of this would have happened. So again, this was a very short presentation, and it was meant to stay high level and really tease the audience into saying, hey, we should talk to these guys. I'm really interested in what they're doing. And so far, that appears to be the case. So let's back up real quick and talk about the logistics of the incubator program going forward. So we had Binance Demo Day on Tuesday, and Binance will spend the remainder of this week circulating an interest form. And so all those investors on the call, they get to fill out this form, and they essentially just check off which projects they want to get a formal introduction to via Binance. So those formal introductions are going to be starting next week. Now, even before I had gotten off of the demo day call, I had 2 VCs that had already reached out to me, and in the remainder of this week, almost 6 more have. So even before the formal, solicitation and interest process starts next week, we're already seeing a ton of interest. I'm not going to name any names yet, but a couple of these are really exciting for Bird. Really futuristic, visionary thinkers, the type of people that can help connect Bird with even more powerful partners, start bringing what we're doing to a broader audience. So all in all, this incubator program, huge success. Demo day, huge success. I'm really proud of our team. We put in an amazing amount of work over the last couple of months. I wish there were a way that we could share all of that work with you, because I know, from your vantage point, it can often be, okay, so what are these guys doing today? I haven't heard that much. We haven't seen a tweet. We haven't seen this. We haven't seen that. But I can assure you that, especially since that program has been running, anytime we're quiet, it's because we are working very hard with the guys at Binance to get this kind of success that has just started to pay off now. So with that, I'm gonna kind of switch gears a bit, and if there's no questions on the actual presentation slides themselves, I think our team is going to be walking through the questions that you guys all submitted ahead of time. So Eric, Lou, Jack, you guys want to start jumping into the community's questions?
Sure, I'm here. So the first one is, what are the benefits of participating in the incubator program? So I think you've touched on that, but if you want to get into some of the VC, what happens, how, what goes next?
Yeah, let me try to put a finer point on this. Every project goes into the incubator program, or any incubator, and they're going to have slightly different reasons for that. We're a project that went into this with a lot of the right ingredients, amazing team, great, foundation to be building off of, a lot of really sort of secure and powerful sort of future roadmap vision. Right? We don't have a lot of competitors on there, but one of the things that we were missing were deep connections in the industry to a lot of the other folks that can really help us grow. So for us, one of the major benefits of the program was simply the networking. We were able to get connected to people that I probably wouldn't have spoken to for years until I was able to more organically, sort of build my reputation or build Bird's reputation where people are interested in speaking with us. I just accelerated that. Just like 2 years of that work off the table for us. So for Bird, the biggest benefit that we get is putting us out in the world and helping us share our mission with people. But there are other projects in there that, they needed a lot more sort of business guidance. Binance was able to offer that. There were projects in there that needed some more support on the development side of the house. Binance was able to help them get connected through teams like Dora Hacks. So every team goes into it for a slightly different reason, but for Bird, the biggest benefit that we get is the additional sort of notoriety and name recognition and influence in these social spheres in the crypto industry. So go ahead, Eric. What's next?
Sure. So the next question, I'm going to jump to this one, which kind of feeds off of that, and I don't know how much you could talk about it, but and it's not strictly a question, but more of an observation. It's really exciting to read in the Incubator Labs bi-weekly recap that Yatsu was so enthusiastic about the need for data analytics and leveling up Web3 blockchain projects. And they go on to ask about, partnerships with brands like Animoca brands and big partnerships like that. Knowing that we can't disclose things, what were your thoughts on all of that?
Man. The gaming and metaverse sector is really excited about cutting edge analytics. And we're really the only game in town for that right now, at least in a general sense. Brands like Animoca, projects like Sand, major metaverse projects, they are definitely going to be interested in us.